All right, leaving Constitution Lakes, and now you've seen Soapstone Ridge from the distance. But I'm gonna now take you, or at least I'm gonna try to take you, to an archaeological site that's 3,000 to 5,000 years old, where we can actually see where the soapstone was quarried. So we've left Constitution Lakes and we are in the middle of a forest, but on top of Soapstone Ridge. And we are getting close to where there is a 3,000 to 5,000 year old soapstone quarry. So we're gonna try to make our way through this area and see if we can find this technology that was used by people right here in DeKalb County that long ago. But it's not easy to find because soapstone doesn't stand out. It's not like shiny marble or anything like that. But when we find it, we'll know it. All right, let's go. Got my stick here because of spider webs. So this is a water source, and there's soapstone all over Soapstone Ridge. But if you're gonna quarry these rocks and you're gonna turn them into bowls, it'd be good to have a water source nearby. So I think we must be close. Oh yes, this is it. I've been searching the woods for soapstone quarries for a long time, and I keep on seeing rocks that I think maybe were man-made. But this right here, this is very clearly done by humans. So, who were these humans and why were they making bowls? Well, let's start by saying this was hunter-gatherers. So these were people that weren't necessarily staying in one place for a really, really long time. However, bowls were one of the first technology that got people to stay in one place. Now there's two reasons for that, right? One, because you can cook, preserve, and store food in bowls. And two, because these bowls were heavy. I'm talking like 200 to 300 pounds heavy. Look at this. This is the start of a very small soapstone bowl right here. And just think how heavy that little tiny one would be. Then imagine this is the scar from where a bowl was actually chiseled off of this soapstone. Think about how big that bowl would have been. Would you want to carry it very far? No. So bowls are super important because it was the first step towards people saying, we're gonna stay in one spot. After soapstone bowls, people eventually began using pottery bowls made of clay, which is, I think, what we typically think of when we think of early Native American bowls. However, soapstone bowls were used totally differently. With a light pottery bowl that you made, you could put it on the fire, you could take it off the fire. Soapstone, 200 pounds, you're not moving this thing. So instead what people did was they heated up rocks in the fire and then took those hot rocks and put them in the water in their soapstone bowl in order to make the water boil. So if you had a soapstone bowl, you weren't going very far because it was very heavy, but they were also prized possessions because it was a way that you could cook your food so much more easily than just putting it on a spit over the fire. As a result, soapstone was traded all across the Southeast, and as I've mentioned before, soapstone from right here in DeKalb County has been found as far away as Louisiana. Soapstone is a very soft rock. Now, to my eyes, I'm not a geologist, it doesn't look different than pretty much any other rock, but it is so much more easy to chisel. So they would choose a much harder rock, and they'd use that as a knife and a chisel. And they'd find what they called a protuberance. Big word for meaning a part of the rock that sticks out. So let's imagine this section right here probably stuck out like this. So they began chiseling around the base over and over and over again until it looked like a mushroom. So now imagine the rock coming out like this. At that point, when the base of the mushroom gets small enough, they can use a whole lot of force to chisel that mushroom-shaped piece of rock right off the face of the boulder. It's that they then use to carve out into a bowl shape. Archaeological sites are very sensitive. Now, I want you to be able to see this because it's important that we know that people have been living in DeKalb County for 10 to 12,000 years. And finding technology that was produced by people that long ago can help us feel connected to that long human history that we're part of. So this may be old, And it may be rock, but it is living history. All right, we've done a lot of nature things here in the South River Forest, and it's called a forest, so it makes sense. We couldn't leave this area without seeing a couple of the cultural things that go on here. First, I'm going to take you to Atlanta's last remaining drive-in movie theater, the Starlight 6. Here on busy Moreland Avenue, right in the heart of the South River Forest, we have one of my favorite places, the Starlight Drive-in. Since 1998, the Starlight has been Atlanta's only drive-in movie theater. Hey, but even though we're in a big city, and even though drive-ins seem to be on their way out, the Starlight's still here. You can pull your car in, relax in your seat, and watch a movie. An action film, a thriller, a kids movie, whatever you want. And on Saturdays, one of the biggest flea markets in the Atlanta area sets up shop in the parking lot of the drive-in. Says it's open tonight. Maybe I'll bring my family. Maybe you will too. South River Forest is full of unusual things. I mean, Atlanta's only drive-in, a trail filled with doll body parts, and where we're going right now, an elephant graveyard. It's literally just around the corner. Man, I could never find this place. I think it's right over here. And it's just on the side of the road. But over there is where elephants and other zoo animals are buried. Here I am at Atlanta's elephant graveyard. It's not just elephants, it's actually several different kinds of zoo animals. But why, on the middle of this little road, is there an animal grave? Well, here's what happened. City of Atlanta got the majority of its original zoo animals from Asa Candler Jr., the heir to the Coca-Cola fortune. Yes, Candler did own an elephant. The elephant's name was Coco, Coca-Cola, and the children of Atlanta fell in love with this elephant that they would get to go visit at the Grant Park Zoo, which later became Zoo Atlanta. Coco, though, as she grew older, eventually died, and then the city had a problem on its hands. Two-ton problem on its hands. What to do with an elephant carcass? So they carried that dead elephant out here to the edge of the old Atlanta prison farm property and created a little graveyard, like what I'm standing on right here, and buried an elephant on the side of the road. They put up a monument to Coco the elephant, and it ended up becoming a pilgrimage site. People who had grown up with that connection to Coco at the Grant Park Zoo would actually come down here on Key Road and visit Coco's grave. I've even heard a story that one of Atlanta's gorillas named Willie B is buried here as well as other elephants that have since died from the zoo. Today, however, there's no monument. It's completely overgrown. There's really no way to know except for this little sign that was put up by a folk artist, the same artist who created the Doll's Head Trail, that says, "Zoo animals down yonder." And if you know where to pull over, you'll find the border of the grave that's also covered in finely crushed marble. I'm glad you've got to come along with me today and learn a little bit about the history of this spot, including the ancient history of Soapstone Ridge and those carved soapstone bowls that we saw. Now, I'm gonna head off, and I hope you come to the South River Forest sometime and remember all the history that you've heard today. I'll see you next time.